Okay, so I wanted to be able to take everybody through kind of this whole process with us and do this first video on the process of our first investment property or flip house, however you want to call it, and kind of give a backstory to why we wanted to do this, take you through the whole thing about the house. I'll show you the first day. Today was the first day that we were in there. We closed yesterday, and I'll take you through kind of what day one looked like and, what the issues with the house are and things like that. And then I also want to give a backstory to why we wanted to do this, who is involved, why it means so much to us, just to kind of preface the whole series of events from start to finish with this flip house. So if there's anything specifically that you want to see from content of, what it looks like to shop for materials or where you get certain things, even down to the nitty gritty of, this disgusting work that I'm about to show you, just let me know what you want to see and I'll try to do more of that. But I kind of wanted to even create this just for us to be able to go back and look at this and think like, man, obviously we have no idea what is going to happen with this. There's a lot of, I feel like pretty anxious right now, to be honest, on, day one of getting in there and seeing what all has to be done. It's kind of overwhelming. But I want to be able to look back at this and see from the beginning kind of where we started and what transpired. And if you're considering doing a flip house or something similar, can appreciate the hard work, then just keep watching. I'm going to try to show you everything that I can through this whole process. So let's move on to the backstory of why we are calling our business The Backbone. It's very important to me, and it's the reason why we're doing this entire thing and taking this huge risk. So the whole story behind what we're calling our business, The Backbone, I'm going to give you a little backstory to that. And it is the whole reason why we're doing this and all of the plans that we have for the future. This is a lifestyle, if you will, of something that it's what we stand for and it's what we think is extremely important. And so the inspiration behind that was that my dad and mom had me whenever my mom was 17, my dad was 18. My dad grew up in California in a really hard life. I mean, his dad was an alcoholic and ended up passing away whenever he was really young. He never knew his mom. Once his dad passed away, he was in and out of boys' homes, foster homes, lots of abuse, lots of crazy things that went on. He ended up quitting school in the 8th grade so that he could deliver newspapers to keep himself and his brother alive, basically. They really just had a very hard way to go. So without getting into too much detail there, that really impacted me whenever my parents had me, being so young, all the odds being against you. They had a really hard way to go, and they always instilled in us that if you're willing to work hard for something and to do what's right, then you can achieve whatever it is that you put your mind to. So when my dad was emancipated, he emancipated himself, he moved to Missouri, and when he moved here, he actually ended up working construction. That's what he's known his whole life, and, worked in construction. Well, my mom's brother was also working construction, and I believe that that's how my mom and dad ended up meeting. So through that, they meet, right, date, whatever, whole backstory, and they end up having me. And, like I said, they worked really hard for everything that they had, but times were still very, very tough, whenever I was a baby, right? And so, when my dad was 21, so I would have been 4, he, was doing his thing, working construction. They were always just working so hard to make ends meet. And he actually ended up having an accident at work where something to do with, he was mixing concrete and something to do with a forklift. He ended up, will be a whole nother story if anyone's interested in the future. I'll have to interview my dad if he would ever allow that. I doubt it. But anyways, an accident happened at work and he ended up breaking his back, basically. And so, being young, being 21, and that's the whole way that you provide for your family, that was obviously horrible. And he is extremely stubborn, so I guess he didn't go to the hospital right away. And then whenever he did, obviously they find out that his back is broken. He goes to a doctor to repair it. Everything was, he had a broken back, but they could see that, hey, he's young, he's in shape, he's healthy. We're going to fix your back. And you'll be on your merry way after recovery, right? And so they went into his first surgery with that mindset, like everything's going to be fine. This is a setback, but we're going to handle it. So when he came out of that surgery, basically the doctor, they didn't know this at the time, but he was also being sued by several other people for malpractice. And so when he came out of this surgery, the doctors told my mom, young mom that this just happened to, that he would be lucky if he ever was able to pick up a laundry basket again. His back was just so much worse than they had realized. The surgery didn't go well, like just devastating news, right? So, being in their position, they didn't know really what to do moving forward. He went through different kinds of recovery for different kinds of treatments and surgeries that never should have happened. They had no idea at this point about the backstory behind that doctor and that he had been sued for other malpractice. It was just a huge mess. So basically, for a few years, it was just a really, really hard way to go. And, they told my dad, like, you need to be on disability. You can't ever lift even a laundry basket again. Your back is just completely screwed up, basically. And like I said, I'm not going to bore you with all the details. There's a whole process of this. But the point of it is that he overcame that and ended up, years later. Now this has been I'm 29 this year. So 29 years later, he has went through so many surgeries. He's went through, just things that it makes me so emotional, because you got to be a tough person to go through what my parents have went through. And to come out on the other side of that, they've just always taught us that hard work is something that you can do whatever you put your mind to, like just that whole inspirational comeback story, right, of the underdog who did it anyways. Well, now my dad actually has just done amazing things with his life. So is my mom. My mom is a salon owner. She has an autoimmune disease and still it doesn't get her down. She's actually taking care of my sweet grandpa right now, who has cancer. So she's just an amazing woman. And I got to start a new video on this. This is a lot. So my dad ended up, after recovery, and I'm not going to say recovery because he still has tons of plates and screws. And if you would see this x-ray of this man, his spine is just like completely blown apart and fused together in all these spots. And he's had so many surgeries and so much treatment, but he's never going to be able to be treated. Of course, this is, pain management. This is, he's been through things he's got a spinal cord stimulator at one point and morphine pumps and all these crazy things. Okay. But the point is that he always had the mentality that, for one, someone always has it worse. He never was like the poor me type of situation. He was just always so positive about his situation. And so was my mom. They've been through so many hard things and they've always overcome them. And so I remember whenever, probably 10, maybe even 15 years ago, I remember my dad saying, I think I want to build bridges. And I was telling him, how are you going to do that? You don't know anything about building bridges and, in your medical condition. And he just always taught us that, if you want to do something and you put your mind to it, everything is figure-outable. And so even though they were dealt, a pretty hard hand in life, he ended up going on to do that, learning how to do it, became a superintendent of a couple different bridge companies. He's very sought after, very hard worker. The kind of work ethic that I've never seen in my life. So the whole purpose of the backbone is like that mentality. It's not doing what is easy or what's expected or the norm. It's going above and beyond and having a backbone to do the things that are hard, to do what's right, and kind of that underdog story of you can overcome whatever's put into your life. You can take risks and you can overcome anything. So that is why I think of like his x-ray and you see this man's spine that is just obliterated. It's terrible. It's very frightening to see this. And, it's fused back together in all these places. And, there's all these, he's had a spinal cord stimulator and morphine pumps and all these different things, and this man still gets up every day despite all the challenges that he's had life throw at him, and has this outlook that somebody's got it worse, and he's thankful to be working. And so that is why whenever we thought, it's been in my blood for a long time, it's been in my family for a long time, construction, obviously. At one point, my mom and dad had a business together where my mom would go like decorate and paint for people and, just make their house pretty. At one point, she had sold home interiors and things like that. And then my dad was kind of the workhorse of it. He would draw up plans and, build houses, and my uncle's involved in that too. So that's always been something that I have always been around. And, just making a house a home and taking pride in your home. And so when my husband and I, my husband's name is Christian, we've been together for, gosh, I'm bad with numbers, like 10 years, I'm going to say. And, that was something that we always talked about wanting to do one day was, fix up houses together, own our own business, really make an impact. And so when we got married, we were not, well off whatsoever. And he had just gotten out of the Marine Corps, came back home, and was just trying to like work his way up, and have a job that he could work his way up. He worked on the F-18, the fighter jets in the Marine Corps. And so his dream was always to work at Boeing. And so he just kind of started doing side jobs like that, trying to get his foot in the door with Boeing. And actually now that's where he works at. And he is a manager over the flight ramp of the F-18. So it's just like perfect for him. But through that process, whenever we first got married, we obviously wanted to own a home. And we weren't able to get approved for very much. I was going through nursing school at the time, actually, didn't have any credit. And then he had a very low paying job. So this all ties in because when we went to buy our first home, maybe you can relate to this. You think that you're a first-time home buyer. You're like, oh, I want, a kitchen like this or a bathroom like this. And then when we got that pre-approval, it was for $70,000. The market's changed a lot since then, but still, you really could not get hardly anything even like livable, let alone that would go a VA loan. They're pretty picky, and that's how we had to do it, because you don't have to put any money down on a VA loan. That was the only way that we were going to be able to get into a house. So we ended up buying this house for $70,000 and lived there for about like 2.5 years. And as we were able to, we did a lot of the work. My dad taught us a lot. We knew a lot, and we just kind of fixed it up as we went. And whenever we moved out of that house, we made a really good profit on it and realized that, hey, sweat equity, you can really, take pride in where you live and you can make a good profit on it. So we've done that for several of the homes that we've lived in. We actually just moved into this current house a few months ago, and not really with the intention to sell this one, but you just never know. We've moved a lot of times since we bought our first home. So where this all ties together is that I remember in that first home being really disappointed that that was the only thing that we could afford, and that it wasn't anything like what I had pictured. You don't get to choose anything on the house. You just take what you can get, because that's not a lot of money to work with. And so when we moved in that house, I remember things like, if it didn't come with a refrigerator, which it didn't, we were not financially okay enough to go buy a refrigerator. Thank the Lord we ended up getting approved and for like a store credit loan to be able to finance a refrigerator. But the reason that I say all of that is it's so much on my heart to not only do these renovations and purchase, this whole flip home idea is something that we're very passionate about, of course. But for me to be able to bring in, my dad's expertise on these things, and to be able to work alongside of my husband, and to, I feel like, kind of pay back some of what we've learned through fixing this house up, it's just really, really special to us. So moving forward with what our intentions are here and what the plan kind of is, and a little bit more backstory on the house now that we've gotten that whole backstory of the backbone. I told you a little bit about it. There's a lot more to it, but that is just one, huge reason on why we wanted to do this. So moving forward, another reason that we want to do this and the backstory of the whole house. So my biggest goal is this house that we purchased is in a city that we love, that we live in. We live out in the country, but we live in a small town. So this is Jefferson County, Missouri area. And this house is definitely in a neighborhood, in an area that could use some fixing up. And I'm hoping that by doing a home like this, that it helps the whole community. It encourages the whole community to, you know, take more pride in their home and to just clean up. If you live next to, you know, kind of an eyesore house, you know how that is. You appreciate when people around you, you know, start making things nice around you. So not only that, but the person that I picture buying this home whenever we're all done with it, I want to be able to give that to the person that everything is done. Everything is safe. If they need to qualify for those types of loans, you know, like a VA loan or, you know, some of those things that don't require a large down payment, they're just trying to make it. They need an opportunity to get in there and get a nice house at a good price. That's really what my goal is for this. And I want to make it to where, you know, it's move-in ready and it's nice. It doesn't have to be expensive. You know, you don't have to have a huge budget to be able to have something that's nice and that someone, you know, put a lot of work into and just went a little bit extra, you know, in the finishes and things like that. So I have already been praying really hard about the person who is meant to buy this home in the future. And a little info on the house is, well, there's actually kind of a backstory to this also. Okay, so we decided that we're going to purchase a flip house, right? We've wanted to for a long time, but a few months ago, we finally decided to pull the trigger because my dad was basically, I don't know how else to say this. He was out of work for a company that he's worked for quite a long time. So we're like, hey, we pull in his expertise. He's got a little bit of time. He can help us out with this. That would be awesome. So when we decided to move forward with that, obviously you start the process of looking for a house, right? And most of these houses have to be purchased in cash because, you know, they're not going to go, most banks are not going to lend on them. So that was obviously one of the biggest things was, hey, what can we afford to purchase cash with the house and then the whole renovation cost as well. We weren't working, you know, with any investors or anything like that. We don't have any credibility. We haven't done this before. So it's kind of just like, it's just us, right? So we started looking a couple months ago, and the market right now is crazy. Like, things go so fast. It's very hard to get your hands on a house that's worth anything. So we had a couple, I think this is like the 5th or 6th contract that we have had on a house. And, you know, we had a couple other ones. And then once we would do inspections and start realizing the cost of renovation, it just didn't make sense compared to the comps. You know, we're not trying to make like a ton of money on these houses. We just need to at least make sure that, you know, we're gonna not be in the hole from doing that. So we finally found one that we were really excited about. We were under contract, and the day before closing, because it's during COVID and this home that we were trying to purchase was a VA foreclosure. And so basically some things that happened where somebody messed up, they listed it too soon. There's something called a COVID CARES Act, and I guess it has to be on the market, or the people before it can be a foreclosure has to be a certain amount of days. And the day before closing, basically we got a notification that, hey, not only are we not closing tomorrow, but we have to pull this house off the market completely. So that was really devastating. This was probably about 3 weeks ago. And I sat there and thought, you know, maybe this is God telling us that this is not something that we need to be doing. Or maybe this is a test of just like, hey, are you going to push through and have a backbone and kind of, you know, do what's hard, take a risk that maybe some people would think that we were crazy for, and push forward. So that very next day, called our real estate agent, which she's an angel. She's been through a lot with us in this whole process, and she's just amazing. But she ended up showing us a house that had just popped up on the market, and this is the current house that we own now. And so we go in there and look at it. Basically, it was a breeze on this one. So we really prayed about this one. It's a risk, you know. It's got some issues. It's pretty disgusting. And yeah, we closed on it yesterday. And so we have a plan moving forward, obviously, but this will be a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. We shouldn't have to pull any permits on anything at this point. We are just kind of taking down drywall, seeing what's beneath it. It's just a lot of cosmetic, you know, just things like they put a bunch of disgusting things in there or didn't take care of it, and it just has to, you know, all be updated and renovated in that sense. So you never really know until you start taking drywall down and making sure that everything is, you know, good structural condition, you know, plumbing, electrical, things like that. But at this point, we don't anticipate to have to really mess with any of those huge situations. So I think that the house is about 1,300 square feet. So we're really excited that it'll be nice for somebody who has, you know, a few kids. There's a little playground right next door that's really cute. And like I said, it's in the city that we live right outside of and that we just love so much. I actually earlier got to go to the house, and on the way there's a cute little coffee shop, and I'll share about that in a little bit. But honestly, I'm really nervous about this whole situation. But when it comes to, you know, taking risks, I guess you never really know what the reward is unless you take a risk. So a huge part of this whole backbone, I want to say more like a project, if you will. You know, it's not just one entity of flipping houses or staging houses or decorating for people, or possibly even we're looking into a retail home decor store for the future. It comes with a lot of different values and meaning that we hope to be able to instill and to give back into our community. And so one of the things that we wanted to implement was kind of a gratitude department, if you will. So a portion of everything that we do, of any, you know, any profits that we would make, is always going to go back into the community. And that is really what right now is honestly carrying me through. We went this first day. I went, you know, I had a babysitter for a couple hours. That's kind of a struggle, is just, I don't want to take my kids, you know, into this house, obviously. And so I ended up going over there by myself earlier today, and it was, you know, feeling a little bit of nerves. And then I started thinking about it, and, you know, we are giving this whole company whatever is supposed to happen with it. It was never ours. It is all glory to God. And if he wants to bless this business and it, you know, be abundant, and then it's all gonna be for him anyways. And if not, then it's not meant to be. So I keep kind of having to remind myself that, you know what, if this works out and if we're successful for this, and if our intentions of what we're trying to do good for the community and good for whoever moves into this, and to give them, you know, pride in what they can, you know, move into, and, you know, to be able to use some of those profits to do some really cool things with in our community, then that's what's meant to be. And if we totally fail at this, you know, that is in the back of my head right now at this point, then hey, you never know unless you try, I guess. And so that's kind of where we're at with all of it. And I guess now I'm going to show you the house and some stuff that happened on day one. But like I said, if you guys have any, you know, things that you want to see, we plan on doing obviously tile work and flooring and drywall and just a lot of cosmetic stuff, design stuff, decorating stuff. You can follow me on Instagram. I really appreciate you guys' help. I actually just posted last night a poll on countertops, concrete, butcher block, or laminate or granite, and people are so helpful in giving their feedback in that. So I'll be posting a lot of that stuff on Instagram and Facebook, and but mostly I think I'm probably going to do these longer things here on YouTube. So if you care about kind of a vlog style, obviously nothing fancy with the lighting or anything, but I'm just gonna give it to you how it is, and that's pretty much what you're gonna get out of us, I guess. So let me know if there's something specific that you want to see, and I will try my best to cover more of that for you. But here you go. Flip house day one. But first, feed my goats.
Morning, Blitzen. Hi, Rudolph. They like their apples. Good morning.
Got my finger on the chicken feeder. Don't have any band-aids. Nothing a little duct tape can't handle. What a way to start out the day, man. My grandma is an angel, and she's watching it along with several. And she just packed me a bag of masks. Well, a Dollar General bag. masks, and several varieties of gloves, and told me to be safe. She's so sweet.
Is the beautiful house in all of its glory. So it's really pretty. Might see if I can, you know, just clean that toilet up a little bit and salvage it. Really nice vanity. Really nice tub. You know, kind of just some paint here. Nice carpet. So yeah, this is it. Beautiful. So first stop is coffee. If you have not been in here to Pine Mountain, you've got to come in. It's so cute. I have anything from gifts and bath bombs and soaps. All kinds of cute stuff. And coffee. So freaking gross, dude. Someone's cow got out.
All right, so that's pretty much it for today. So if you want to help me with some design choices, feel free to go on over to my Instagram, follow me over there, or on Facebook so you can weigh in on that stuff. I so appreciate the feedback. If you wouldn't mind to hit subscribe, like, comment on what you want to see more of, I will try to respond to all the comments and upload the content that you're looking for throughout this video. Please continue to keep me in your prayers, okay? Thanks for watching.